Have you ever been so tired, but still unable to sleep? Not just one bad night, I mean night after night, staring at the ceiling, waiting, hoping, begging your mind to be quiet. They told me something my whole life. Work hard, stay busy, success will bring you peace. I believed that. I believed that if I pushed myself enough during the day, sleep would come easily at night. I was wrong, very wrong. At 52, I had everything I thought I needed. A steady income, a decent home, respect from people around me. But every night, I would lie in bed, wide awake. My body was tired, but my mind would not stop. Thoughts kept coming. Plans, worries, regrets. I'll be happy when things slow down. I'll rest when I reach my goals. That sentence followed me everywhere. I'll be happy when. Let me ask you something. If working harder brings peace, then why do so many hard-working people sleep so badly? I didn't understand it then, but I do now. And what I learned changed my nights, even at 88. Stay with me till the end of this video, and I will share the 7 simple rules that finally gave me deep, quiet sleep. No pills, no tricks, just truth. Because what kept me awake for 40 years might be the same thing keeping you awake tonight. I was a fool for 40 years. I thought being tired meant I was doing something right. I thought sleep was a reward, something you earn after a long day. So I kept pushing, long hours, late nights, early mornings. I'll be happy when. I said it like a prayer. I'll be happy when I earn more. I'll be happy when things calm down. I'll be happy when I finally rest. But that day never came. Only more work, more thinking, more pressure. I remember one night very clearly. It was 1989, a Tuesday. Rain was hitting the window, soft but constant. I came home late from the office. My shoulders felt heavy. My head was full. I ate in silence, did not taste the food. Then I went to bed early. I thought, tonight I will finally sleep. But when I lay down, my eyes stayed open. The room was dark, but my mind was bright, too bright. Thought after thought. Like noise I could not turn off. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I kept turning on the bed, fixing the pillow, closing my eyes tighter. Nothing worked. And then something strange happened. My chest felt tight, not pain but pressure, like something inside me was tired of being ignored. In that quiet night, I saw the truth for the first time. I was not awake because of my work. I was awake because I did not know how to stop. That night, something broke. Not my body, my belief. I started to see it clearly. I was chasing rest in a life that never allowed it. That was the moment everything started to change. But change did not come quickly. In fact, it got worse before it got better. Because once you see a truth, you can't unsee it. I started noticing something strange. Even on days when I did less work, I still could not sleep. Even on weekends, my mind stayed busy. That is when I finally understood something painful. My problem was not my job. It was not my schedule. It was not even my bed. It was me. I had trained my mind for years to never stop, to always think, always plan, always worry.
even at night. And the worst part? I thought this was normal. I thought this was what successful people do. But I was wrong again. Because I started meeting people who slept peacefully. And they were not doing more than me, they were doing less. But inside, they were different. That is when I began my search. Not for better sleep habits, but for a different way to live inside my own mind. I did not know it yet, but I was about to discover something that would take me decades to understand. Something simple, something I ignored my whole life. And it all started with one question I asked myself at 3 a.m. Why can't I switch off even when I want to? That question changed everything for me. Because I finally stopped blaming the night, and I started looking at myself. For years, I believed sleep was something outside of me, like a switch. You lie down, and it should just happen. But it doesn't work like that. Not when your mind is still running. I began to notice a pattern. My body would go to bed, but my thoughts would stay awake. Work thoughts, money thoughts, future thoughts, old regrets. It was like I had two lives, one during the day and one at night that never ended. And slowly, I realized something I did not want to accept. I was addicted to thinking. Not drugs, not alcohol. Thinking. My mind felt safer when it was busy, even at night, even when I was tired, because silence felt uncomfortable. That is when I had my real turning point. Not in an office, not in a hospital, but one night, sitting alone in the dark, fully awake. I said something out loud. I don't know how to stop myself. And that was the truth. From that moment, I stopped trying to force sleep, and I started trying to understand it, not as a task, but as a state of being. Because I realized something very deep. Sleep was never leaving me. I was the one leaving sleep. And once I saw that, I could never go back to the old way of thinking. After that night, I stopped fighting sleep, and I started watching my own mind, like a stranger, like I was studying someone I had lived with for 40 years, but never truly understood. And I saw something very clear. My days were not ending. They were continuing inside my head.
But I was wrong. Sleep is not fixed from the outside. It is allowed from the inside. And that is when I began forming my 7 rules. Not rules to control sleep, but rules to stop disturbing it. The first rule came from my biggest mistake. I stopped negotiating with tomorrow because I noticed something painful. Every night, I was not in bed. I was in tomorrow. Planning, worrying, rehearsing problems that had not happened yet. And my mind thought it was helping me, but it was stealing my rest. So I learned this. Tomorrow does not need you at 2 a.m. The second rule came from frustration. I stopped treating my bed like a thinking place, because I used to lie down and think more. About everything. Work, life, mistakes, conversations. So I made a quiet promise to myself. This place is only for rest, not debate. The third rule came from honesty. I stopped confusing exhaustion with peace, because I realized something shocking. Being tired does not mean you are calm. It just means you are drained. And a drained mind still cannot sleep. The fourth rule came from watching my own thoughts. I realized, whatever I rehearse in the day comes back at night.
If I rehearsed stress, I got stress. If I rehearsed fear, I got fear. My mind was simply repeating me. And that scared me more than anything, because it meant I was the cause, not the victim. And slowly, I started to see a pattern. Every sleepless night was not random. It was predictable. And that realization changed everything that came after. And once I saw the pattern, I could not ignore it anymore. Because it meant my nights were not controlled by chance. They were controlled by habits. And habits can be changed, slowly, gently, one by one. So I continued. The fifth rule came from silence. I stopped running from quiet moments, because I noticed something strange. When everything became silent, my mind became loud. And I used to escape that silence immediately. Phone, TV, random thoughts, anything to avoid it. But I learned something important. Silence is not empty. It is revealing. It shows you what you have been avoiding all day. So instead of running, I stayed, just a little longer each night. And slowly, the silence stopped feeling like an enemy. The sixth rule came from acceptance. I stopped trying to finish life before sleep. Because I had a habit. I wanted everything done, every task, every plan, every problem solved. But life is never finished, not even for one day. So I learned to say something simple. This is enough for today, even when it was not perfect, even when things were incomplete. I let the day end anyway. And that brought me more peace than finishing ever did. The seventh rule came last, and it was the hardest. I stopped believing I was my thoughts, because my mind used to say many things at night. You failed. You are behind. You should worry. And I used to believe every word, because I was no longer fighting sleep. I was finally allowing it. And that was the real shift. Not perfect sleep, but peaceful nights, more and more often. I stopped chasing control, and I started building trust. Trust in my body, trust in my mind, trust in the night itself. And over time, I began to notice something about people around me. Different people, same problem, different reactions. And most importantly, they do not fight the night. They allow it. And I realized something painful here. I used to think sleep was about the body, but it is not. It is about the mind you bring into the night. So now I understand this clearly. You do not fall asleep because everything is perfect. You fall asleep because you stop resisting what is already there. And at 88 years old, I can tell you this with honesty. I do not have a perfect life, but I have learned how to end my day in peace. And if I could go back, I would not chase success so hard. I would learn to stop sooner, to think less at night, to trust more. So now I want to ask you something, very simple, very honest. What are you still carrying into your nights that your future self will not even remember?